Hey, Kent, I know that you want to jump into Colossians, but I really wouldn't mind hearing just a little bit about this Honduras thing.
What do you want to know?
Well, I want to know a little bit about what you did and how you learned to know about this place. And I've heard you say bits and pieces, but that's about it.
Oh yeah.
But if you
So
don't want to
this
get into it, that's okay too.
no, I'm glad to. So this lady's name is Rhonda Jackson. Um
Okay.
she I honestly don't know where she's from originally, like where she was raised. I think I heard at one
Yeah.
point. Um if you want to know like her story, which is very interesting, find the book I Said Yes. That's the name of the book.
Okay.
Uh, honestly, I have no idea where it is. Maybe we can figure that out and put it on here.
It's a good book, man, I'm telling
Yeah, it is. But that's her story. I do know this much that at some point she ended up here in Augusta, Georgia, and
Okay.
she attended Grace for a while, like where I go to
Mm,
church.
okay. I didn't know
And
that.
Wade Wade became, I guess, became one of her mentors, maybe. And she felt at some point she felt called to go to Honduras. And Alex, if you remember some details that are interesting here, put them in. But um, she
She
went down to
went with Wade
Honduras.
on a mission trip down there.
Well, yeah, I think you're right, and I don't think she knew what she was going to do necessarily.
Mhm.
Um, and she started just, I don't know. You better read the book because I'll probably get something wrong. Anyway, what she ended up with was a home with like 15 kids, and most of
Like
these
orphan
kids,
kids?
well, orphan is kind of, some of them the parents just can't afford to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
um like it's not like the parents are all passed away or anything like that.
Right.
Some of them have parents around there, but they just couldn't feed them, I guess. Like this
Okay.
place is really really poor. um And I don't know, Alex, do you remember, did she start the school because of her kids or did she start that from a different goal? She started
It's
this
been too long
school
since I yeah,
anyway.
read the book.
And this school is it's got some interesting rules to it. So
Okay.
you don't pay anything. Like a lot of the schools around there, even like that, I don't know that they have that much for public school. You have to pay to send
Okay.
your kids to school. This school, you don't pay anything, so therefore you have to be poor. Like you can't have means.
Mm-hmm.
Um, your child has to start in kindergarten. If they don't start in kindergarten,
Oh.
they don't take anybody in after that.
You don't start in the fourth grade.
Uh-uh. So, um, and with that, she's ended up with a very very good school culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and today she
Yep.
has 400 kids in that school.
Oh,
Like
wow. I had no
it is,
clue.
yeah, it is incredible. There are I walked,
Okay.
they weren't in school this time I went down there. Last time I went down there was in February, and school was full blast there. So their summer or their vacation time is like November, December, January, I think. They start
Okay.
sometime in February. But school is full blast. There was, like, I don't know how she runs that place. There is so much going on, so many teachers. Um and these kids are coming out of there, and some of them are going straight to colleges up here in the US.
Oh, really?
Like, it's a good
I see. So
education.
she educates them through the end of high school.
Yeah, that's right.
I hear you.
All run on the currency of faith.
Like this woman, she challenges me so much. Um she there's some people who they depend on their monthly donations from people.
Yeah. Right.
Sh and she does at some level. She has people who pay once a month, but she's told them that, "What I need more is your prayers." She said,
Okay.
"You," and there was one lady who came down there who had been supporting 2 kids through school, and
Yep.
Rhonda was asking her about the kids, and, she said, the lady didn't even know the names of the kids she was supporting, so she obviously hadn't been
Mm,
praying for them. And Rhonda said,
mhm.
"Well, your prayers are way more important than your money."
Oh, yeah.
Um, it's just interesting to me how that whole thing is run. Like, she's been on the plane sitting beside somebody, had a need, and the person got interested, started asking questions, and got handed a check for thousands right there on the plane.
I see.
I mean, the stories she has just like I
Divine
don't
providence.
I don't I don't know that I could do it if you want to know the
Yeah.
truth. The amount of faith it would take to just she has no salary, she's just living there.
Mhm.
One interesting, I think, part in the book, I think this was documented in her book, about the well. So she bought land, I think, kind of out away from the city, and but there's no water there. Like they said,
Uh,
there's absolutely no water, and she's like, yeah, there's water here. God told me there was water, and so, you know, but everybody else was like, no, I mean, they didn't even want. I don't think they even wanted to come out there and drill a well.
No, they didn't.
She's like, here's the money and the water's here, and then they drilled and then the water wasn't there, and she's like, yeah, it's here. You got to go deeper or something like that, and so they kept going,
Somebody
and then they
donated another
found.
10 grand.
Yeah, they
to go
found
deeper.
water,
And
and a lot of it in good water, I think. So, yes, just
yeah,
I
story
hear you.
after story like that, you know?
Well, God probably knows where it is, you know. I think he's
yeah,
the one that put it there.
yeah, yeah. It's an amazing place. Um, so these people, it's really hard to you know, in my business, um I work with some highly demanding people. I
Yep.
work with people who want things a certain way, want it perfect, and and I enjoy that. I actually really
Yeah.
enjoy, fulfilling that kind of thing.
Because they appreciate that
So we
high
go to
quality product, man.
yeah. So they need desks. They need school desks. And
Mhm.
I went down last year. We came up with kind of a design that we could build out of plywood,
Right.
and we built 60 desks down there last year. And it worked very well. Like, it was amazing with the tools we had. It's pretty primitive. Um, so I went down there this time, and the evening before we were going to start, I sat down with her and one of her teachers, and I said, "Is there anything about these desks that you would like different?" "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, no. We love the desks. They're great. That's no problem." I said, "Well, you know, if you'd like something different, I'd like to know. I'd love
Right.
to, if there's any changes, what could we do?"
You can improve them.
Because
Yeah.
we're building these things. What can we do?
Yeah.
They just couldn't imagine changing anything. They're like, if you could see what these kids are sitting in, I'm like, this is such a different perspective. I can't even get, I can't even get ideas for improvements. Like, they're just
Right.
so happy to get what they,
They're
to get what they
they're
get.
pleased with the base product.
Yeah. I'd gladly make an improvement if we can, but yeah,
Right.
it was
You're
interesting.
telling me they didn't want a different tint of color in the stain or something at least?
No.
Man.
Uh, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed the videos that you were posting on Facebook or wherever you were putting them. Seeing a
Yeah.
little bit of what you were doing there. It's pretty cool.
It was fun. It's fun to build something, when you sit at a desk all day and to actually be able to build something, that's fun. And
Right. And then with that level of appreciation, that makes it very rewarding as well.
oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we ripped up I don't know, 60 sheets of plywood maybe, I can't remember, on a
Okay.
job site table saw.
Yeah.
What
That
was
Yeah.
the
was
quality of plywood like down there? The wood that you was using, was it good?
Yeah, it's
Same
pretty
stuff
decent.
as you'd have here? Yeah.
I mean, it's like a C grade, maybe.
Okay.
One side, it might be like a BC. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but yeah, it's a decent plywood. I mean, it's flat. It's a decent stuff.
It's better than the CDX.
Oh, by a long shot, yeah.
Big knots in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know if we got a segue here or not.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I've been reading over these verses today, and they're loaded. Is all I know.
Yeah. Well, realizing, I think it's been good for me. Well, I know it's been good for me this last week to hang around somebody who sees. Oh, let me tell one more story about her. So she she was struggling with. She was wearing contacts, and she was struggling with that. I don't really know what was going on. If it was hard to get them down there, or just with her situation, it wasn't working well, or something. Anyway, she prayed to God that wondered if he could do something about her eyes. I think she said 3 weeks later, she was riding in the bus back from the airport with a group of doctors that came down there. One of them was a eye doctor, whatever that is, Opta something or another. And I may have told y'all this, I can't remember. Anyways, he saw she was wearing contacts, and he said, "Next time you're in America, come see me. I'll fix your eyes." I don't know, like her attitude about that. She says, if I have a need, I just ask God. She said he spoils me. And I love that attitude. I really do.
Yeah. So they did like laser surgery or something on her eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see. Well,
Has more
So,
context.
yeah.
What do you got,
Kent, do you
Alex?
feel spoiled by your father?
I know in my head that I am. I
Well,
think it's
you know
really
what it made me start thinking about Kent?
what?
What's that verse that says you don't have because you don't ask? That's where I feel like I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a verse? Or am I
Yeah.
It
making something
is.
up here?
No.
And there's also a verse that says that uh you don't receive because you ask amiss to spend on your own passions. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, that's true
there's
too.
that verse too. So I think those are the two biggest problems is we don't ask and we ask amiss.
Hmm.
Instead of like a conversation um that we had earlier on in the week where you was talking about praying in Jesus' name, Frank.
Oh right, yeah. Hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that goes along with that thought,
We need to make
of
sure
when we act.
we need to
Yeah.
make sure we're aligned with Jesus' will,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
God's will. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting inspiration. Like to think of the power that is available.
Hmm. Yeah. I have a suspicion we don't use it near like we could.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's one of my
So,
favorite quotes by quote about the mud pies and the,
oh yeah.
the children that are content to make mud pies in the streets when there's a vacation by the sea that awaits them, you know?
Oh
You
yeah.
guys familiar with that quote? That's a good quote, man. I should memorize it. I love that one.
Isn't that kind of the same place where he talks about that it's not the Christians don't have a problem with too much passion. Our problem is that our too many times our
Mm.
passion is too weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's connected to that quote. Exactly. Yep. Yep. For sure.
You know, I know this, I'm more thankful. I am I have more faith in the fact that God is real and that Jesus um you know that there's power in prayer when I, I'm saying all this this happens when I really understand who he is.
Right.
And how much he loves me. And that's what this passage does for me, I think. It's such a great reminder of who God is, or who Jesus is, the image of the invisible God.
Mm-hmm.
So it's when we say image, it's we have a lot of images, right? Pictures, statues. Right now I'm seeing an image of you two guys on my screen.
It's true.
This is the image. And it goes a little bit to something we talked about a while back about how I can see y'all on the screen. And I know who you are. I recognize your faces on the screen. And so, but really, this is just a representation of the person. So when we think of Jesus and this word, he is the image. How do we think of that?
Well, something that's fascinating to me is, God seems completely other. You know what I mean? Like, who are you going to, if somebody asks you, who's God like? Who are you going to say God is like? What are you going to compare God to? Right? There's a guy, I think it's Andrew Wilson, wrote a book called Incomparable, I think is the name of the book.
Yeah, that's right.
Love that book. Love that book. That's such a good book. But I mean, God seems incomparable. You can't compare him to anything, right? And so, because of that, to me, he seems so other, so unrelatable, so completely like distant
Mm-hmm.
that it's hard for me to feel any kind of connection or warmth or relationship with God, with God. But then when we see that Jesus is the image of the invisible God, now it's all of a sudden this God who is so incomparable and so other has now made himself known to us through Jesus, through his son, through Christ. And so now God doesn't seem so other to me. You know what I mean? He is other and he is incomparable, but at the same time, now all of a sudden he's become relatable. He's become somebody that I can experience and know. You can't really experience and know something you can't see or feel or experience, right? But Jesus came and lived his life and gave us that experience of his life on earth, and then gave us his teachings, and now we have his word, and he gives us his spirit. And it's just like, man, I mean, the gift that he is, like, we wouldn't know God without him. I mean, how would we? How would we know God without him? So, yeah, I think that idea of Christ being the image of the invisible God is, man, makes my just, it's so amazing to me of what all is really tied up and what that all really means. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think so, and I like that you get fired up about it, uh, because what you're saying is true. Without Jesus, like those people in the Old Testament, they didn't have that. So we can look at and read about Jesus' life, and we can say, okay, this is what God is like. And they didn't
Mhm.
have that, and that does seem like it would leave you a little bit out to sea. But let me ask you this: why does it say that He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation? Because He is God. So why is he also the image of God?
So the word there is icon,
Yeah.
EIKON, which is what we get our word icon from, the icons on your phone screen, that sort of thing. But if I would understand this right, this word was it does not imply a weakened or feeble copy of something. It implies the
Right.
illumination of its inner core and essence.
An exact representation.
So this word was first used. The image was first used in Genesis 1 when God said, "Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness."
Same word.
Yeah, and let them have dominion over it. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. So it is interesting that he used that same word back in Genesis to talk about his creation.
Yeah.
But I still don't think. I mean, I like, Alex, what you had to say. I think there's a lot more to it when we talk about Jesus being the image of God. So Wade said something that I thought was interesting. Talking about the all-encompassing image. What do you think of when you hear the words "a deacon's deacon"?
A deacon's deacon?
Have you ever heard that term when talking about somebody? Oh, really?
No, man, you have lost me now.
I see. Or a doctor's doctor. Like this man, that guy's a deacon's deacon. He's like the epitome of a deacon.
Okay.
He holds every characteristic that you could imagine that you
He
would want in a
embodies all
deacon.
the qualifications and characteristics and everything.
Yeah, that's right. He's a deacon's deacon.
Okay.
I can't believe you haven't heard that before. That's interesting. I must be a really old guy. I don't know.
I live
Now, I
down here
am
in
the
the swamp.
husband of only one wife. I mean, I'll say that.
I'm glad to hear that, Alex. Thanks
Yeah.
for
I forgot
sharing that.
Alex was a deacon. Ooh, this is scary.
I'm not a deacon's deacon. That is for 100% sure there. But yeah, anyways,
That's
I
hilarious.
just have one wife. But but anyways, carry on. I'm listening closely. What about, how does that keep moving on?
So, God, Jesus, when we think of the characteristics of God, he is the epitome of of a picture of God. He carries everything imaginable and far beyond imaginable for us of who God is, because he is God, obviously.
Yeah.
It was just a different way for me
Yeah.
to think about, kind of help wrap my mind around how he carries the characteristics of God, or how he is God.
There's something that I wonder that I've thought about a lot. So we know God the Father is a spirit, right? And I don't think he has a physical body like me and you, and like
Right.
Jesus, his son, right? So when did Jesus, like, I believe Jesus has, a resurrected. I think he's, obviously he's immortal. He was resurrected and has a body, and even told the disciples, like you see me, leave, I'll return. So we're going to see him return in a physical body. So when did he receive that physical body at birth? When during um when he was born on earth? Is that when he received the physical body and just has retained it ever since? Or did Jesus have a physical body when him and the Father and the Spirit were talking and they said, "Let us make man in our image," and that was just, well, of course it's going to be in the image, that we all experience this human body or image
this is
today, because
interesting.
Jesus had it back then, or maybe
See, I would say that when you were talking there, I would have said that he his physical body began at conception in Mary's womb. But what you just said there about what they said when they created man, let's make him in our own image, that puts a new twist on it, because I mean maybe they were talking about spiritually, but Maybe that was physical too. Maybe Jesus had a body then. I don't know. But it does talk about a body being prepared for him in the scriptures.
Well, we do know that Jesus created the world, right? John 1, right? Isn't that John 1?
Yeah,
Um,
that he's the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Hmm.
yeah, but I thought that it went on to say,
In the beginning was the Word.
yeah, I thought it was somewhere right there. It said that he created all things.
And it says
Um,
that right here in Colossians. It says all things were
yeah,
created through him and for him.
yeah.
It says it right
Okay,
out loud.
yeah, you're right. I thought it was in John too. But so we know that he was the voice that created all things, right? It also says that he walked in the garden with Adam and Eve. Um,
Oh
maybe
man,
that,
walking denotes physical movement.
yeah. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I actually haven't studied that verse to see what all it could mean, but yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting question, Alex.
Hmm.
I haven't
Yeah, I
dug
don't
into
want to
that.
derail us. We can keep moving on. I just, sometimes those thoughts get in a person's head, and you sit there and they spin around for a while, and one day we'll know. We'll see through a glass darkly, and one day we'll truly know, I'm sure, the answer to those questions. And I have much bigger questions on just how to get through my day than to sit there and really. That's not a deal breaker to me. I'm not going to lose my faith over that question. But
Yep.
anyways,
So it says in Hebrews 1, verse 3, he is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature.
Hmm.
And he upholds the universe by the word of his power. After making purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the majesty on high. So there we have the word imprint, the exact imprint of his nature. And then if you think about everything that he did while he was on earth, so as a 12-year-old, he stayed at the temple and visited with the leaders. He changed water into wine. He caused all those fish to get in the net. He walked on water. He forgave a woman caught in adultery, fed 5,000 people, wept over Jerusalem, raised Lazarus back to life. When you think of all that from the perspective that Jesus was the exact imprint of God, that he was the image of God, it kind of puts a little different light on all these miracles.
Hmm.
Sometimes, and I don't know about y'all, but I tend to see God, well, a little bit like what you were saying, Alex, as a somebody I can't grasp, and we can't, but like somebody distant, and I see Jesus as the good guy. God's the one with the whip that's ready to come down on me. Jesus is the good guy who came down and actually lived in the body and knows my struggles. And well, if we believe that Jesus was the image of God, this was God's desire to do all these things.
You're right.
And I don't think I think of it that way right away.
Yeah. And see, I wish I knew my Bible better, but doesn't he say that doesn't Jesus say that he only does what he hears from his Father or something like that? I mean,
right.
Hmm.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Kent, with your kind of a divided view of God and Jesus, but really, yeah, they're not.
Yeah, Jesus
It's all
isn't a
one.
better God. He
Or
he helps us to
nicer, kinder.
he helps us to see God as he truly is.
Right. Exactly. He came to get you past exactly what you're talking about.
He came to
Yeah.
show us the Father. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I agree with you 100%. I struggle with the very same thing. But when you stop and you think about Jesus on the cross, and the fact that it pleased God to punish him for our sake, or for the sake of, the sins of the world, and that really, yeah. I mean, you see actually the Father's love to me. Okay, so when you see the crucifixion scene in your mind, is it do you think of the Father? Or do you think of the Son? What comes to your mind mentally when you see Christ on the cross?
I think of Jesus. Is
Yeah,
who I think
definitely.
of.
Really? I think of Jesus too. I'd also think of, like, he's I don't know. I mean, it's just the Father the Father turns his back on him, and really it's Jesus is praying in the garden, if there's any other way, let this cup pass from me.
Right.
And you get a glimpse of, like, of the love of the Father through Christ on the cross, of seeing the Father's, yeah, love displayed, because, yeah, Christ was willing to go, but he also said if there was another way, he wasn't, but the Father required that, and he knew that. And
Yeah.
this is where it was all, it all culminated right here on the cross. So to me, I see the Father's love displayed as much as Christ's love displayed when I think of that from that perspective, especially.
That exact scene that you're talking about there, Alex, it helps me understand the humanity of Christ because
Hmm.
because he is God, and he knew ahead of time that this is going to happen, I believe.
Right.
And he knew in the garden he was going to go through with it. And yet he prayed that prayer
Hmm.
of, can't we do this some other way?
Yeah.
And that was his humanity, I believe. That was his flesh recoiling at the thought of the trauma he was going to go through, both
Hmm.
physically and emotionally and spiritually and everything. That's quite something to think about.
Yeah.
I think we I think we got off the topic there with where Kent wasn't going, Alex.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where Kent's leading us
He
here.
was he was referring to his notes there, trying to figure out how to get you and I back on topic.
I know, and I have another rabbit trail I want to run down real quick. So I was talking to a brother today, and he was talking about the church, and he was talking about how disenchanted he was with the church, and how church seemed to be running like a business and all this and that next thing. And I really started thinking about this verse, because I knew we were going to be talking about this tonight. But I was like, "Hey, buddy, the problem is you're looking horizontal, not vertical. You're literally allowing yourself to be focused in on all the problems, horizontally." Um, and I'm just thinking now, man, like, how many problems in our life wouldn't be solved if we just spent a little more time meditating on these verses right here of who Christ is, the preeminence of Christ. And it really sets a lot of things in order for me when I start thinking about this, because it's so easy if you're looking horizontal, even if you're looking at, people in the church or whoever, people are going to let you down, they're going to fail. And it's just so quick, so easy for me to be, just like my brother today, and just say, man, I just feel so disenchanted with what I see and experience on this horizontal plane.
Yeah.
Rope me back
And
in,
yet,
Kent.
yeah. And yet, a little like what you were saying on the last podcast, I think it was, we we can look around at the people who are also God's children and say, yeah, we love God, but we struggle with his people.
Yeah.
Um, and really the it's the problem that you're saying there. We've taken our eyes off of Jesus.
Hmm.
So, the next part of that verse talks about the firstborn over all creation. Um, I don't know if y'all have any thoughts on that. It is a interesting, to me, it's just kind of an interesting term to use right there, because
Mhm.
firstborn, we understand, is the first child that's born into a family. If we move a little farther on, in verse 18, he talks about he is the head of the body of the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in
Mhm.
everything he might be preeminent. Um, so firstborn is what are we actually saying here? What is God saying?
Well, one thing I think he's not saying is that Jesus is created or was a created being. I mean, he didn't begin when he was born. I think the Jehovah Witnesses take that verse and use it to say that Jesus was a created being. Um, and I reject that completely. I don't think that's what he's saying at all. But to me, it gives a little bit of a feeling of the firstborn in the sense of Jesus's of his relationship with the Father. And this is really complicated in my mind because he is God, but he's also God's only begotten Son, the firstborn. And he has the rights of a firstborn, of inheritance and honor and privilege. And that whole back in the day, being the firstborn was a thing.
Mhm.
I don't know. Speak on, Kent.
Oh, I was going to listen to y'all for a while. Um, so we can say a block of wood. If you take a piece of wood or you take a tree and the first thing you make out of it can be like that's the firstborn thing of the tree. That's probably a little weird, but it's still a part of that tree, right?
Hmm.
Or you can say the coach of a team. Well, the coach is not part of the team.
Right.
Nobody like can mean different things depending on how it's used. So when we read these verses about Jesus, he's very obviously not, like you said, a part of of the creation that we are a part of.
Hmm.
He is
Right.
wholly other.
Well, and in the very next verse, it says, "For by him all things were created." So you can't lump
Hmm.
him in his creation because he's the one doing the creating in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of hard to be part of the creation if you created it all.
Hmm.
It says the visible and the invisible. What's the invisible here? Air?
I don't know. I guess air is invisible most of the time.
But
I think that
it. Go ahead.
I think we live in a world today where um we are much less comfortable with spiritual, spiritual forces,
Hmm.
demons and spirits and all that. So I think that's in my mind, that's the invisible, the things that you can't see, but that are probably than more real than than a lot of the visible things that we see and experience, which is the spirit realm, right? So that's what I think it is, and I think in to the Colossians, they were more connected in with that reality than probably we are here today in America, for sure.
I'm glad you
So
brought
there's
it back
something
to the
else.
Colossians. Um, all right, I'll finish my thought
Yeah, go ahead.
because I think there was a lot of superstition and there was a lot of fear. And
Hmm.
when you read this whole passage here, for everything was created by him in heaven and on earth, the visible and the invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and by him all things hold together. That's a lot of hymns. And there's a lot of descriptive words around, like, there's not much here that it doesn't cover. I don't know if there's anything here that it doesn't cover. And this would be incredibly comforting to somebody who was living in fear, especially like superstitious fear.
Right.
When you think of these Gnostics that were, they thought that everything physical was evil, right? If I remember right.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And now you read, oh, Jesus created it all, and it's
Yep.
for him. All right, Frank, I'm done.
No, that was a good. No, that was good because just like you referenced the Gnosticism there, and that's what these Colossians I think were struggling with. And when you think about it in context, we went through this, the introduction to the book a little bit, and then in these verses from 15 to 23. Paul just lays out Christ. He's like, this is who he is. This is what he's like. Y'all are having some other kind of thoughts over here about who he is and about Gnosticism and all of that rubbish. But he's like, this is who Christ is. And these verses, I mean, you can read them over and over and over, and it's not much text. It's just a little bit. It's just a few words. But man, it's loaded. It's got so much good stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just love it.
When I read it, it seems like Paul's making a real big deal about Jesus.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just this is a passage I think all of us should probably read quite often, because we all need to
Yeah.
be making a big deal about Jesus, and it starts right here. It starts right here in our own minds.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And you think of where Paul comes from, a Pharisee, persecuting the Christians. He never saw Jesus before he resurrected, I don't think. At least there's no record of it. But
Right.
persecuting everybody who believed in him, trying to stamp this religion out. And you think of the change that had to happen in that man's mind to write this passage right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what you call repentance right there. That's a 180-degree turn.
Yep. Yeah, well, that experience he had of getting struck down on the road to Emmaus, and then those next few years, that was transformative for Paul. No doubt about that.
I just wanted to say, man, I love the reminder, and it's as applicable today, 2026, as it was back then, that he is the head of the body, the church. I would
Yeah.
like to preach that a little louder, that Christ is
Yeah,
the head of
and
the
man,
body.
I want to tell
It
you
ain't.
something. If you want, now go ahead, keep preaching.
I'm just saying, it ain't your pet doctrine or theology or whatever denomination. It's Christ as the head. It's not your little idea that you have made paramount in your life and mind as what the head is determined to be. So
I think Alex might have to upgrade from deacon to preacher in a minute.
done. Go ahead, Frank. You're the one.
No,
You're the
what
preaching
I was
deacon.
what I was going to say is, okay, so we were reading here about how Jesus is the image of the invisible God, and that's inspiring, and I really like that. And in the last, I don't know, maybe we talked about this, I don't remember, but within the last few days, I've been really impressed with the fact that we're never going to know God in fullness, but what a Christian does, a true follower of Christ, they're continually and always learning to know Him better and pursuing after Him, and there's this eternal depth available to us that we're always learning to know him. And I just like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a series in our youth ministry at church there that's called Men of God and Women of God. And so I've been thinking about, what it really means to be a man of God. And to me, that's kind of what it gels down to, is that continual pursuit of after Christ and learning to know him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And man, those verses right there, good foundation for that.
Yeah. It's interesting. You made me think of a comment. So somebody we used to go to church with, Alex and I, years and years ago, He was a real mentor for me, in, I don't know, dealing with a lot of doctrinal issues, trying to get them straight in my mind. And
Mhm.
one time my wife asked him, um, do you ever get proud just because you know so many things?
Mhm.
And his comment really helped me see what knowledge is. He said, knowledge is like a circle. He said, you learn something, your circle gets bigger.
Mhm.
And what happens is the circumference is bigger, and you realize what you don't know is even more than what you didn't know before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you see that in some old guys in their humility. They know a lot, but they just what you said, Kim, they realize how much more they don't know. And those are the guys that can really dish out the wisdom with humility.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm.
I love
Yeah, I
that.
want to get real close to those guys.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
That's interesting you brought it up, Kent, because that same guy must have said that when I was there, because that analogy is so clear in my mind too. I think of it often. You know, it's like the humility to realize as you grow, as you mature, as you develop, and mature, like just how little any of us actually really do and can know. So um, that's good, man.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. Well, y'all good?
I've enjoyed it as always. I
Yeah.
look forward to this all week. Like I'll start looking forward to next week in a few minutes here.
All right.
No, for real, I do enjoy it a lot. It's been
Yeah,
good.
same here.
Same.
Yeah, it's
Likewise.
encouraging.
Yeah.
Yep.
Y'all have a good night.
All
Yep. Y'all
right,
too, man.
see
See
y'all.
you guys.
Offense of grace, how sweet the sound. The blood alone redeems. It frees the slaves and calls them sons. Fulfills the law's demands. Oh, yeah. Offense of grace. How sweet the sound that tore the veil away. It shatters all the old constraints, reveals a brand new day. I once believed I had to earn to keep you satisfied, but grace declared the work was done, the blood alone applied. Offense of grace, how sweet the sound, the blood It's grace that breaks religion's chains, forgives the penitent. It lifts the broken from the dust, exalts the